Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're not really easing into the material. We are jumping straight into some of the most intense snapshots of human experience I think we've ever looked at.
Yeah, these are moments where impulse and agony and sheer ambition just collide.
Exactly. We've collected a series of scenes that show us, what happens when people push past any kind of rational limit, whether it's performance, recovery, or even consciousness itself.
It's a study in extremes, really, and the thing that connects these totally different worlds, I mean, you have an elite athletic academy, a pretty raw recovery facility, and then a secret drug deal.
Yeah.
The thing that connects them is focus.
Focus.
Absolute, total focus. Whether you're focused on lifting an impossible weight or just surviving a crippling addiction or, planning the ultimate chemical escape, that intensity, it's the same. It's all about confronting yourself at the very edge.
Okay, let's unpack this. And I think we have to start right where the effort is latticed, the E.T.A. weight room.
The Ennett House Tennis Academy.
Right. This is an environment where, young people are trained for excellence in a way that feels almost military. The discipline is incredible.
And we get a specific timestamp, 1,610 hours.
This is important.
It's critical because it tells you this isn't free time, it's not a hobby, this is mandatory, highly scheduled, highly focused training. The sources describe just a symphony of noise, the clank and click of the machines, the ragged breathing, the aggressive shouting.
It sounds incredibly intense.
It is. I mean, you are watching people intentionally inflict agony on themselves, all for the sake of some future mastery.
And those physical extremes, they're immediately visible. We hear about a guy shocked doing vertical sit-ups.
And the detail is so unsettling. It's not just that he's working hard. His forehead is visibly pulsing. His face has turned purple from the strain.
Purple.
Yeah. And near him, another kid, Troelch, is exerting himself so much he needs a towel just to keep blowing his nose. It's this spectacle of just pure fluid output.
It really shows that every part of the body is being taxed.
Yeah.
Just pushed to its absolute limit.
And the mental state completely matches the physical. I mean, we see this kid, Ingersoll, for instance. He's ignoring advice from a staffer, Lyle, and is just dangerously upping the weight on a shoulder pull machine.
So he's ignoring safety.
Totally. That moment tells you everything. His ego, or maybe his compulsion to just get more, is completely overriding rational thought or external guidance. They're only listening to that internal, sometimes destructive drive for peak output.
But the absolute peak of this, the apex of all this raw effort, has to be the spectacle near the water cooler.
Oh, yeah.
It's this guy, Keith Freer. They call him the Viking.
A fitting name.
And he's spotting a 15-year-old, Elliot Cornspan, who's trying to do these massive barbell curls. And when we say massive,
we're talking 90 kilograms on the bar, plus the bar itself, which is another 20 kilos. For a 15-year-old to be curling that, it's beyond staggering. Frankly, it's absurd. It's dangerous.
the scene becomes this auditory assault, right? Freer isn't just offering supportive coaching. He's not saying you can do it.
No, not at all. He's bellowing encouragement that is specifically designed to elicit violence. The commands start out normal, 3 more, get it up there. But they descend so fast into this deeply aggressive, frankly shocking language.
It raped your sister. It killed your fucking mother, man.
Exactly. The goal there is to completely shatter Cornspan's conscious mind, to push him into some primal, desperate state where pain becomes irrelevant compared to this invented aggression he's supposed to feel for the barbell.
And you can literally see it happening to Cornspan. The effort is so extreme he's making sounds that the source says don't even sound like they're coming from his throat.
His face is red, it's leaping around on his skull, and there's a visible, literal mist of spittle and sweat hanging in the air as he struggles. He is right on the edge of having a stroke. This is voluntary-induced physical trauma.
And while all this is happening, this incredibly loud, visceral effort, the complete opposite is happening nearby.
Right. Quietly, near the towel dispenser. Purely psychological effort.
This is the staffer, Lyle, in a low-volume conversation with another student, Graham Rader. Lyle's voice is almost a whisper, but it carries, so much more weight than Freer's bellows.
It really does. Lyle is basically performing a psychological intervention, but he's cleverly disguised it as a philosophical chat.
He gives him this thing called the key ring analogy.
He says, imagine I give you a key ring. It's got 100 keys. Only one of them unlocks the door to you being the player you want to be. How many keys, meaning how many mistakes, would you be willing to try?
And Rader gives the answer you'd expect, right? The high effort, correct answer.
I'd try every darn one, but Lyle sees right through it. He knows that's just the intellectual answer. He cuts straight to the psychological root of Rader's anxiety on the court. He diagnoses him as a paralyzed perfectionist.
Let's dive into that idea, paralyzed perfectionism. What is Lyle actually getting at there, and how does it connect to all this chaos happening around them?
Well, Lyle is pointing out this critical paradox you find in a hyper-elite environment like E.T.A. Raider can say he understands trial and error. He knows, intellectually, that success means accepting 99% failure. 99 wrong keys.
But in practice,
In practice, the perfectionist stands at the door, just jingling the keys, totally afraid to try the first one, because they cannot bear the possibility of being wrong right out of the gate. The fear of failure is so catastrophic, it just mandates inaction. It's the ultimate internal choke.
wow. So the paralysis isn't physical at all. It's this intellectual fear of, what, diminishing your own idealized potential by making a messy, failed effort.
That's it exactly. You have Cornspan, who is willing to risk a stroke and public humiliation for one rep.
And then you have Raider, who risks absolutely nothing. And so he achieves nothing.
Precisely. Raider is paralyzed by his own potential. Cornspan is galvanized by aggression. This tension, this internal conflict between action and error, it defines that entire weight room. And right in the middle of it all, maybe mocking the whole spectrum, is Michael Pemulus.
Pemulus is nearby, cross-legged, and is doing facial isometrics.
Yeah, making his face long, then short and broad. The source compares it to the tortured, wincing figures in a Francis Bacon painting.
And all while he's trying to eavesdrop on Lyle and Raider's conversation.
Pemulus is the observer in this scene. He's the intellectual, the controlled manipulator. Unlike Cornspan, whose effort is just messy and loud and external, Pemulus's effort is entirely controlled. It's internal. Facial isometrics are all about silent discipline.
And he's also this kind of social lightning rod for the other guys. Troeltsch is yelling these cruel requests at him.
Do the Delint jerking off face again, or do Bridget having a tantrum.
So he's providing this comedic relief, but it's sharp, it's cruel, it's usually aimed at someone else's humiliation.
And you notice he winces whenever Freer and Cornspan get too loud, which suggests maybe a contempt for their lack of control, or at least a tension between his own quiet internal focus and all that external chaos.
And that tension, it just culminates in this final chilling act.
It really does. Cornspan finally fails the lift, the bar crashes to the floor, and he is absolutely spent. He's heaving, his stomach looks pregnant from the exertion. There's a string of something hanging from his mouth. He is at his absolute most vulnerable.
And Pemulus, the master of calculation, he leans in, he minimizes the whole gesture, looks around like he's sharing a secret, and just whispers one word to the completely defeated Cornspan.
Tussie.
It's just the ultimate psychological blow.
It is. Cornspan just risks serious physical harm, he endured public failure, and Pemulus judges that entire profound effort as deficient, as weak, as a failure of character.
If we connect that back to Lyle's analysis, is it possible Pemulus is delivering that insult because he himself has a kind of paralyzed perfectionism? Is he projecting his own fear of that kind of raw, messy effort onto Cornspan?
That is a really powerful way to look at it. I mean, think about it. Pemulus controls everything. His face, his thoughts, his isometrics, as we'll see, his drug deals. And Cornspan's effort is the absolute antithesis of control.
So he's criticizing the process.
He's criticizing the process because it involved this unacceptable level of vulnerability, and it ended in a very public physical failure. It's a total dismissal of suffering. And maybe it's fueled by a dark kind of envy that Cornspan can even commit to such a spectacular, self-destructive push.
So Pemulus has to believe that the cold, calculating mind is superior to the messy, struggling body.
He has to. It's his whole identity.
So the weight room scene ends not with the clang of the weights, but with the quiet, permanent damage of a single whispered word.
That calculated cruelty is just as intense, if not more so, than the physical pain. It absolutely is. And that idea, dealing with the profound consequences of these extreme states, both physical and psychological, that's exactly what guides us into our next location.
We're moving from the, sterile elite world of the academy to the stark, messy reality of a substance recovery facility. Enid House.
And the pressure shifts completely. It's no longer about performance, it's about survival.
Let's shift our focus now to Enid House. I mean, this environment, it operates on a completely different set of rules. It's driven by compulsion, not competition.
Yeah, the atmosphere shift is jarring. Here, the currency isn't talent, it's lived experience.
Hmm.
It's hard, often bizarre truths. And the sheer volume of specific facts they've all gathered, it paints this picture of a life lived on the fringes where the consequences of compulsion are concrete and so often permanent.
We could start with a really chilling observation about bureaucratic power. The source highlights the immense, almost arbitrary power of the Massachusetts Department of Social Services, the DSS.
Yes. The observation is that once a mother is deemed unfit, and that could have been years ago, maybe from a relapse, maybe from circumstances totally beyond her control, the state can then take her children away again, virtually at will,
Based on what?
based on nothing more than a specific form or a single staff member's judgment. It's about the permanence of being labeled, of having this irreversible mark put on your file by some external authority you can't fight.
And the body, it carries its own permanent marks, doesn't it? The physical consequences of withdrawal are, well, they're shocking.
They are. We learn about this thing called wicked papular acne, which can last for months after someone quits their substance.
And there's a reason for it.
A fascinating one. The staff explain that your skin is your body's biggest excretory organ. So when the liver and kidneys can't process the toxins, the substance accumulations anymore, the body tries to push them out through the skin. It's this visible, long-lasting sign of internal poisoning, a constant physical reminder of your chemical history.
And even more profound than that are the changes to the organs of long-term alcoholics.
The observation is just so stark. Chronic alcoholics' hearts actually swell to nearly twice the size of a civilian's heart.
Twice the size.
And the source emphasizes they never return to normal. It's one of the most sobering facts in the whole thing. It is an irreversible physical deformity caused by years of compulsion, a silent, internal marker of the true cost.
And then there's the other side of it. Not just the consequences, but the specific, desperate knowledge you gain while you're still chasing a buzz, any kind of buzz.
Right, and we get this highly technical, almost absurd recipe for a temporary, illicit high.
It's so oddly specific. It has to be born from just desperate necessity. You have to rapidly consume 3 millennial fizzies and a whole package of Oreo cookies, all on an empty stomach.
But here's the crucial detail. The part that highlights the sheer difficulty and desperation of it all. You have to keep it down.
Which must be almost impossible.
Almost. But if you can stomach that combination, you get what's described as a thin, jittery, amphetaminic buzz. It just shows the obsessive, almost scientific pursuit of escape, even when the means are so low-grade and nauseating.
And if the physical consequences are that stark, the psychological realities are. They're even deeper. One of the most powerful terms introduced here is this chilling Hispanic concept.
Tecate gusano.
What does that mean?
It's the term for the interior disorder, the compulsion itself. It translates to the psychic worm that drives the addict back to the substance. The term suggests that this thing inside you can't be sated, and it can't be killed.
So it makes the addiction feel less like a physical dependence.
And more like a mythological, inescapable entity that's living inside of you.
What are the implications of defining it that way? As an internal worm.
It implies that the root of the problem is this spiritual or psychic hole, a permanent sense of interior dissatisfaction. And if the problem is a worm that you can't kill, then true recovery isn't about eradication. It's about containment. It's about acceptance. It means that compulsive tendency, it never really leaves you.
It just shifts targets.
Yeah, it just shifts targets, precisely. And the list of those alternative targets is huge. It really demonstrates that compulsion is the illness and the substance is just one symptom.
So what are some of these other abusable escapes?
The recovery world knows that people addicted to escape will find it everywhere. The list includes sleep, but also purposeful sleep deprivation, gambling, work, shopping, sex, even abstention from sex, masturbation, food, exercise, meditation, prayer.
And that bizarre one about sitting so close to a computer screen that the static charge tickles your nose.
Right. If a behavior provides any kind of abnormal release or focus, it can become the next compulsion. It's the same worm, just a different diet.
And this internal pressure, this worm, it leads to the great paradox of addiction, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The substance becomes so essential that losing it makes you, as the source says, all but lose your mind.
Which leads to the darkest psychological insight of all. The urge to literally pray for the loss of your own mind. The pain of being clean, of having to confront all the consequences with a clear head. It becomes so great that the addict just wishes they could wrap their mind up in old newspaper and leave it in an alley.
It's the ultimate desire for self-annihilation, but without actually dying.
Yeah. And this ties directly into the nature of addictive thinking, what they wryly call analysis paralysis at Ennett House.
Analysis paralysis.
It's a constant loop of self-generated terror. The compulsive thinker's head is always, and I'm quoting here, trying to scare the ever-living shit out of itself. 99% of their mental energy is directed inward, just thinking about themselves.
And what are they thinking about?
Well, 99% of that self-directed thinking is spent imagining and preparing for things that are never good. The mind is just trapped in a cage of future catastrophe.
This internal torment, it brings us to a new resident who has found a very tangible, very physical focus for his obsession, a man named Tiny Ewell.
Right. Ewell temporarily lost his mind when his substance was taken away, and now he has displaced that intense obsessive compulsion onto other residents' tattoos.
Tattoos are a perfect symbol for this, aren't they?
They're a perfect representation of all the themes we're exploring. Ewell sees them as symbols of the, quote, chilling irrevocability of intoxicated impulse.
Meaning when you're high, you're only thinking about the immediate rush.
Exactly. You're only considering the adrenaline and the immediate moment of getting the tattoo. Your intoxication completely blocks you from projecting your imagination past that moment to see the lifelong consequence. The tattoo is permanent, but the feeling that got you the tattoo is fleeting.
And he develops a whole taxonomy for this. He starts dividing tattooed people into categories based on how they carry these permanent marks.
The first category is the younger ones, the scrofulous, bone-headed types, as he calls them. They show off their ink with this fake, quiet pride. It's almost as if they're proud of their history of recklessness. They display the tattoos like war trophies, even if the trophies themselves are poorly done.
And the second category is larger, right? The older, stoic regret types.
Far more numerous. They display their tattoos with this deep, weary acceptance, like a veteran showing old scars from wounds that are long healed, but, they're still permanently visible.
And we get some really poignant examples of this regret. There's Wade McDade.
Yeah, McDade has these complex nests of blue and red serpents writhing all over his arms. And because of them, he has to wear long sleeves every single day, even in the boiling summer heat.
Why?
Because his manager at the store 24 where he works believes that customers won't buy cigarettes from a guy whose arms look like they're covered in vascular snakes. The tattoo is directly limiting his ability to function and make a living in the sober world.
And then there's Dooney Glenn, who has that faint dotted line tattooed around his neck.
With manual instructions for head removal, a gruesome leftover from his past as a skinhead. These marks, they're just relics of lives these people are desperately trying to leave behind, but they are physically bound to them forever.
Ewell's third category is different. Bikers and scooter puppies.
Right. They display their tattoos with a total absence of effect, as if they're just showing you a limb or a thumb. They are so thoroughly defined by that lifestyle that the tattoos aren't really statements of individuality anymore. They're just functional parts of their physical identity.
But the most heartbreaking examples, I think, are the relationship tattoos, especially given the provisional and chaotic nature of addicts' relationships.
These names are just monuments to bad impulse. We have Bruce Green with a permanent Mildred bonk on his tricep.
Yeah.
Emil Minty has Doris in this red dripping Gothic script right below his left breast. The impulse was intense, the relationship was fleeting, but the name is forever.
And the attempts to correct these mistakes are even more tragic. Chandler Foss.
After being dumped and high on cocaine, he tried to nullify the romantic meaning of his Mary Banner tattoo by trying to inscribe Blessed Virgin above it.
Not with a professional needle.
No, with a razor blade on a red Bic pen.
That mutilation, it captures the essence of the regret, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The impulse to erase the past is so strong, it just leads to more and even more irreversible self-damage.
But maybe the most purely random mark belongs to Randy Lenz. He has this violet, arrow-pierced Pamela heart on his hip, and he has zero memory of the impulse, the procedure, or of ever even knowing a Pamela.
So the mark just exists without any context.
None. No originating emotion, no history. It is pure, senseless permanence.
And Jennifer Belbin's 4 black teardrops,
Oh.
gotten during a mescaline high and a period of adrenalized grief.
And from a distance, they make her look like she constantly has flies settled on her face. These tattoos aren't just ink. They literally alter how she's perceived and treated in the sober world.
So they're maps of past mistakes. And Ewell, in his temporary mania, is fixated on these maps because they are tangible proof of the consequences that he fears for himself.
But he completely misinterprets the tattoos of one resident in particular, the staffer, Don Gately.
Gately's tattoos are different. They're jailhouse tattoos. a plain blue square, a sloppy cross. And Ewell initially dismisses them as just too primitive to obsess over, grotesque, simple self-mutilation born of boredom.
But then Gately gives this clinical description of the process that reveals the true gravity of these marks. They are homemade, they use sewing needles from the canteen, and blue ink stolen from a public defender's fountain pen cartridge. That's what gives them that distinctive night sky blue color.
And the method itself is crucial, isn't it?
It is. Gately explains that the needle is jabbed as deep as possible without causing the person to flinch and ruin the line. This deep setting of the ink is why jailhouse tattoos look so simple and a little clumsy, and it's also why Gately confirms they are non-removable. Not even by advanced laser surgery, they are absolute permanents.
And Gately, who is this huge guy, his arms are described as being the size of Ewell's legs, he treats these marks with a quiet, profound acceptance that Ewell just doesn't understand at all.
Ewell interprets Gately's silent staring as condescension. He thinks Gately is looking down on his tattoo obsession, seeing it as just a temporary fixation of a nervous psyche.
But Gately's internal calculus is so much more complex than that.
It's not condescension. He views his simple jailhouse tattoos as minor rung bells compared to the truly irrevocable mistakes he made, the years of loss and self-damage he inflicted while he was active in his addiction. For him, the tattoos are just minor souvenirs compared to the real, permanent damage to his life and his record.
So his acceptance isn't from indifference, it's from scale.
It's from scale. He knows what true permanence is. He's seen it. He's lived it. The irreversible consequences of compulsion. And a tattoo is just superficial compared to a swollen heart or years you can never get back. His quiet dignity comes from having accepted the unforgivable in himself.
That is a powerful synthesis. The contrast between the superficial permanence of a tattoo and the profound permanence of a life altered by addiction.
And it leads us directly to our third and final setting. We've seen the compulsive pursuit of mastery at the E.T.A. We've seen the compulsive aftermath at Ennett House. And now we return to the Academy for the ultimate form of calculated, high-stakes impulse.
The acquisition of what might be the world's most potent hallucinogen.
We're back at the Academy, but this time it's a secretive, highly controlled setting. Michael Pemulus, Helen Condenza, and Trevor Axford. And Pemulus, the intellectual manipulator from the weight room, is now in his element. He's the dealer, and he's planning a transgression that just dwarfs any of the other risks we've discussed.
This is the calculated intellectual approach to escape, isn't it? It's the polar opposite of the raw, messy desperation of the Oreo and Fizzy Buzz.
It is. And Pemulus, ever the showman, he presents these DMZ tablets, which he calls artifacts from the early 70s, lying dramatically in his overturned yachting cap.
He introduces the DMZ with this suitable grandeur. This inkster axe handle is the incredibly potent DMZ, the great white shark of organosynthesized hallucinogens.
He's not just selling a drug, he's selling a legend. He immediately amps up the historical, sinister rumors that it was allegedly used in shady CIA military experiments, maybe for mind control, and that the formula was eventually shredded because its potency was judged, quote, too incredible to proceed.
And the test subjects were just written off.
Written off as casualties of peace and locked away.
And here's where the strength of this substance becomes truly terrifying. The rumor is that the Swiss inventor who synthesized DMZ recommended LSD-25 as the come-down drug.
Just think about that. A drug known for its own intense reality-bending effects is being recommended just to manage the aftermath of the DMZ experience.
And then Pemulus tells this horrifying anecdote that should be the ultimate warning sign, but it doesn't deter them at all.
The story of the army convict at Leavenworth. He was injected with an early dose of DMZ, and as Pemulus puts it, he literally lost his mind. His mind was misplaced.
The detail here is so darkly surreal. The man was later found in his cell singing show tunes,
Performing a deadly accurate Ethel Merman impression.
The loss of his self is quantified by a perfect high-decibel merman impression. It's so bizarre and horrifying.
And the consequence of this mental misplacement was so complete that his family's lawsuit was complicated by the legal question of whether the man could even be said to legally exist enough to sue, given that his mind was officially declared AWOL.
That story is the highest possible warning sign. It's a flashing red light, and yet they're all clearly excited by it.
Yeah. And Pemulus, the pragmatist, he immediately starts outlining his financial calculations for this artifact.
He knows he can't sell it locally. He scoffs at that idea.
He says, noboody here'd have any clue what it's actually worth. No, his targets are high-end. Pharmaceutical museums, left-wing think tanks, specialized designer drug consortiums. He is looking for maximum monetary return from this maximum risk substance.
But you can tell the lure of spectacle is tempting him. He jokes about the sheer entertainment route.
Which would be tossing the DMZ tablets into the Gatorade barrels at the Port Washington meet or the Whataburger Invitational, just to watch the unimaginable chaos that would unfold.
Meanwhile, Hal, the hyper-intellectual, is organizing the tablets into this neat cardioid shape, but he insists on one major condition.
And it's a condition that just perfectly reflects his family's highly intellectualized approach to life. Pemulus must physically go to a medical library, -BU or MIT, to verify that the compound is organic and non-addictive.
Digital research is not enough for him.
No, it has to be physical verification. It's this testament to his mother's insistence on verifiable, non-addictive substances. Hal is trying to intellectualize the risk of losing his mind. He needs the assurance of a printed index card.
And the logistics of how Pemulus even got the DMZ are, if anything, even stranger than the drug itself.
He recounts this bizarre, nonverbal negotiation he had with these Canadian insurgents, the Nuxters, who were draped in small arms and operating out of a low-rent gag and mirror shop called Antitoy Entertainment.
I mean, let's just pause on that detail. This isn't a back alley deal. It's happening in a shop surrounded by mirrors, practical jokes, and low-rent TP porn playing at 5 times normal speed.
The whole transaction was conducted almost entirely in dumb show. Pemulus speaks no French. The Canadians were deeply suspicious, constantly scanning the room. The whole environment felt like a group psychomotor seizure. Pemulus felt like he was trading trinkets for New Jersey.
Why?
Because the Nuxters were completely ignorant of the DMZ's true worth.
That's his key advantage. He's taking advantage of their ignorance to secure the ultimate escape mechanism.
And based on that devastating story about the Leavenworth convict, they decide, maybe caution is necessary. They nix the Gatorade barrel idea. They need a solid, guaranteed window of recovery time.
They settle on November 20th and 21st, the weekend right after the big end of fiscal year exhibition.
A 36-hour period, that's what they deem the minimum necessary to psychospiritually rally from the predicted, and I love this phrase, meninges withering hangover the DMZ is going to inflict.
The exhibition itself sounds like a massive event. The E.T.A. squads are going to be completely dismantling these Quebec teams for the amusement of patrons. It's this formalized, violent spectacle of performance.
And the centerpiece of the exhibition is supposed to be the Vaught twins, Karen and Sharon.
In a doubles match against the Quebec coaches. And these are Siamese twins, fused at the temple. They move literally as one.
They're the top-ranked junior women's doubles team in the whole organization of North American nations. Their synergy is uncanny because they share psychomotor lobes. They move as a single, unbeatable unit. And the contrast between their perfect synchronized physical mastery and the trio's plan to chemically destroy their own minds, it couldn't be starker.
They even discuss the expected aftermath. Axford, who has some experience with hallucinogens, says that even LSD leaves you feeling just utterly empty the next day, like a run-out shell, a void.
Hal, though, offers a subtly different take on the hangover. He describes it as a pale, sweet aura, a luminescence. Axford immediately gives it a name. Halation.
Yeah. So even in this shared experience of chemical escape, their interpretations are completely different.
Wildly different. One sees a void, the other sees a glow, which suggests that the way we interpret a consequence is maybe as important as the consequence itself.
But the deep irony here is the connection back to Pemulus's own performance. This whole DMZ obsession, the planning, the surreal logistics, it's happening right before a crucial tournament for her.
And he's totally distracted. He's not a lock for the Whataburger Invitational. His ranking is low. This quest for ultimate chemical control and financial gain is completely undermining his focus on his actual performance.
His slitty-eyed confidence about the DMZ deal
is in stark contrast to his disappointing match play record. The Parector de Linz assessment is just damning. Pemulus is great in practice, a master of control, but in a match that actually means something, he's a massive disappointment.
So the same calculated man who condemned Cornspan's messy effort as pussy is himself failing at the essential task of the academy.
Because his need for external control and spectacle, the ultimate escape, is overriding his professional performance. His compulsion is shifting targets, just like we talked about at Ennett House. It's moving from competitive effort to high-stakes chemical transgression.
The irony is just brutal.
It is. Both the athletes in the weight room and the recovering addicts at Ennett House are dealing with the immediate consequences of impulse, but Pemulus. Pemulus is actively, intellectually planning his consequences. He's gambling his entire athletic future on a chemical high and a side hustle.
We have really completed a full circuit here. We've gone from the raw, desperate, physical struggle for mastery through the deep psychological pain and permanent marks of recovery, and now to this calculated, high-risk search for transcendence with DMZ.
And the unifying element across all of these scenes is this confrontation with the self that often results in permanent, irreversible consequences. Whether it's the swollen heart, the non-removable tattoo, the potentially misplaced mind, or the damaged career. Operating at these extremes comes with a cost, an inescapable cost.
It seems like permanence is the constant companion to both intense effort and desperate escape. But if the consequences are permanent, how does a person move forward? How do you survive the weight of those marks?
Well, the answer, counterintuitively, it lies back in the recovery world. Amidst all those exotic facts and the stories of psychological torment, there's one hard-won truth that really forms the bedrock of survival and recovery.
And what truth is that?
It's the realization that no single individual moment is in and of itself unendurable.
Unendurable.
Right. That truth is what allows the addict to survive the relentless craving, the Takado Gusano, to just sit there with their hands writhing in their lap and not go back to the substance. It's the direct antithesis of the paralyzed perfectionism Lyle diagnosed. It means you don't have to conquer the entire consequence all at once. You only have to conquer the present micro-moment. And that moment itself will pass.
That reframes the whole idea of consequence. The consequences are permanent, sure, but the pain of enduring them is only ever momentary.
Absolutely. And if we connect this back to the bigger picture of all those irreversible marks we've been talking about, the tattoos, the physical changes, that truth allows for a profound kind of acceptance.
Think about that final image from the source material. The quiet dignity of the old, sober AA veteran. He has the truly hateful word Pussy irrevocably tattooed down his liver-spotted forearm. It's this cruel, permanent echo of some intoxicated, regrettable impulse from his past.
Yet the source describes his demeanor as one of tremendous, deep dignity. He carries himself as if the word simply wasn't there, or perhaps as if it was so irrevocably there that there was no point even thinking about it anymore. He has achieved a kind of transcendence over the mark.
That transcendence.
Yeah.
The ability to look past the permanent consequence of your deepest regret and still function with dignity. That's an incredibly powerful insight.
And it raises the most important question for anyone listening, I think. If profound acceptance and quiet dignity are possible in the face of our most regrettable, permanent, and shameful marks, the marks we made when we were at our absolute worst, most impulsive state, what does that suggest about the power of the present moment?
It implies that the permanently inscribed past holds only the power that we grant it today, in this current moment.
And that moment, as we now know, is always endurable. That is a profound realization to just sit with.